Here on the ground, change happens fast. Problems feel frequent and urgent. It's loud and anxiety runs high. From a satellite view, the Earth looks the same as it did thousands of years ago. We've been here before. Let's learn from our past and shoot for a better future.
Hello and welcome to this episode of A Satellite View. I'm Todd Mikkelson speaking at you from Sunday, October 5th, 2025 in the space and time continuum. And another full week, but it feels kind of the same. The momentum is moving forward though, and this is good. But I know we're at the point now where it feels like, okay, what's going to happen this week? Is it finally going to happen this week? Keg Breath wants to have a meeting with all of the admirals and generals from all over the world in one place. Wow, what a smart idea. Let's announce the time and place where the entire leadership of the United States military will be all together. And then let's berate them like a petulant little child who has, is pissed off that he doesn't have enough friends and none of you like me. And then Donald Trump, who I think was not supposed to be there, was there. And then he disappeared. Again, I saw somebody tweet, hey, can we wonder if he's dead again? That was funsies. And he appeared this morning looking like he was dead. But he still talks, and he says, Portland is burning down right now. You know this. You've seen it. Portland is burning down right now. We got to send troops in it. I mean, is Nazi Gables Steve Miller, is he showing Trump video of Portland from I don't know, or is he showing him video from Kyiv, Ukraine? Or is he showing him video from Gaza of Israel blowing more stuff up, even though there's supposed to be a peace treaty going on? This is what I'm talking about. All of these horrible things keep going on. The horrible thing that happened in Chicago, where I don't know if it's just like Steve Miller mixed with Keg Breath, saying, hey, let's just scare the crap out of everybody right now and drop guys. I don't know, let's do it like a fucking movie, man. Let's do it hey, could you get some Black Hawk helicopters? Hey, man, I'm the fucking, Secretary of War. You think I can get some Black Hawk helicopters? Let me go on Signal Chat and I'll put the word out. This is seemingly what's going on. They drop guys from Black Hawk helicopters and they go in and they tie up everybody in an apartment building, including small children. They put zip ties on their wrists and drag them out naked and throw them in vans. And one of them is overheard, one of the guys saying, I don't know, what about these kids? And another guy saying, fuck these kids. Some fat ice guy. We've seen, I talked about last week about how all the fat, out of shape, can't even run 20 feet ice guys were trying to chase down a Grubhub guy on a bicycle or something like that. That's the movie. Your movie is a comedy, you idiots. But it's not a comedy for those little kids who were dragged out of their beds in the middle of the night and put zip-tied into a van. A bunch of masked fat guys come and pull you out of your bed. They break your windows. They break through your door. They're trying to say that, they arrested 36 members of some gang. And it's when the numbers come out, it's like maybe one of those people used to be in a gang. Otherwise, everyone else was just, most of them were American citizens sleeping. That is beyond what I thought possible in this country. Yet it happened this week. So things keep getting actually, in many ways, worse. But I'm here to tell you that is working in our favor. Now, again, I feel for the people who are actually affected by this nightmarish BS. And it's not even Donald Trump doing it. He doesn't even know what's going on. But it's his regime, and his name is on it. So he's fully responsible. Whether he even, I bet $100 he doesn't even know that story happened. And I'm not saying that he would say that it shouldn't happen. I'm not saying if the Nazi Stephen Miller and Keg Breath went in and said, hey, Donald Trump, we want to do this. Wouldn't that be cool? I'm not saying Donald Trump would say anything other than, that's a great idea. That sounds awesome. Go do it. That's probably what he would say. But I don't think he even knows what's going on. Now, let me elaborate a little bit on what I mentioned about this meeting with all of the generals and admirals. I saw the week before, so now we're talking about a week and a half ago. Last week on the podcast, I said, I think this meeting is supposed to happen on Tuesday, which it did. I was speaking about the coming Tuesday, because now we're going back 1 week in time. So last Sunday, I said, Keg Breath wants to have all of the generals and admirals come in on Tuesday. And I said, we'll see if they even all show up. I don't know how many of them did and how many of them didn't. And that kind of doesn't matter. But a few days before that, so we're talking, I believe it was Wednesday, a week and a half ago, I saw the announcement come out that Keg Breath was going to have a meeting with all these guys. At that point, it was not going to be televised. And people mentioned it's not going to be televised. So we'll see if we ever find out what it is. So on either the following day or the day after, Thursday or Friday, Trump was asked about this by a reporter when Trump was doing one of his, let's let the reporters in. I'm in the Oval Office. I want everyone to see, I'm having a pretty good hair day. And so he was asked, so what about this meeting that Keg Breath is doing on Tuesday with all of the leaders from all over the world? And I think Trump thought that reporter was saying Keg Breath is meeting with all the leaders of all the countries in the world. Because he first said, what now? What is this? He obviously did not know this event was going to happen. Oh, and by the way, I forgot to add that it wasn't just Keg Breath that was going to do the meeting. It was also J.D. Vance. And then Trump said, I think that's a great idea. We should be friends with all the world leaders. So then, either later that day or the next day, I heard Trump say that he's going to be there too, because he was asked about it again. And he's like, I'm going to be there too. So who was not there? J.D. Vance. Originally, it was supposed to be Keg Breath and J.D. Vance. J.D. Vance was not there. And originally, Donald Trump was not a part of it. And then I saw him be asked about it. Looked like he didn't know it was happening. But now that he's aware, he wants to be there too. Because it's another chance for him to go on stage, and it becomes televised. These things are very interesting. Does it not seem like perhaps Nazi Steve Miller and Keg Breath, frat boy Keg Breath, and maybe other people were like, hey, we need to start seeing if we can gain any respect for J.D. Vance, because everybody in not just the planet Earth world, but the whole cosmos, the whole entire universe, there is evidence that every being of every sort thinks J.D. Vance is a puke, hates J.D. Vance, thinks he's a joke. So is there any chance we can gain some? Okay, let's put him let's have him be in charge of the generals and admirals. Keg Breath, you introduce J.D. Vance so that these guys start to get the idea that, hey, there's a new boss in town, all right? This is going to be your new commander-in-chief soon because, Nazi Steve Miller and Keg Breath frat boy and Pam Bondi and all these people, they've seen the doctor's reports. At any moment, there's now overwhelming evidence that at any moment, Donald Trump could just keel over, cack, bye-bye, off to a different dimension, no longer here with us on Earth. I wish him all the best. His role here on Earth was to be the villain that now more and more people are turning against, even his own people. His role was to turn the whole world against what he stands for and what Nazi Steve Miller stands for and what everybody who is part of Trump's regime stands for. Donald Trump's role was to get the entire world, including his most ardent followers, to see how bad that is and how much we need to get rid of it. That was Donald Trump's role. Thank you, Donald Trump. I'm glad I was not that guy. Now, of course, it was not a witting thing. He didn't do it wittingly. He is a piece of crap, right? And I know this is such a dull headache. It's actually a dull migraine, turning into a sharp migraine. But I'm telling you, and again, I'll also tell you, don't trust me. Go down inside your feelings. So I'm asking you to ask yourself. I'm not telling you. I hate people who say that. I'm telling you. I'm not telling you. I apologize for saying that. So I am asking you to go deep inside yourself and see if you can find how all of these horrible things that happened this last week are helping us in the long run. Not this week, not the week before. Maybe not even in the coming 1 week, but in the coming weeks and months, and I know I've been saying that for weeks and months now, we got to keep holding on. I am asking you to stay with me and keep holding on. And go down deep inside yourself and see, are these things contributing to more power turning against this darkness that Donald Trump and his regime stand for? And not just him, but Putin, Netanyahu, all these guys. They're dark lords. And they're all in deep trouble right now. I will be doing my Ukraine, giving you some tidbits that I am sure you did not hear about, unless you took my advice and went on and found Anna from Ukraine and Jason J. and the military show and some of these places that do report. I've found even more now, but there's a lot of good reporting being done on Ukraine. And Anna points out, too, that there are a lot of Russian bloggers now who are starting to say, okay, even some that are pro-war against Ukraine are saying, this is no longer a war against Ukraine. This is now Putin ruining Russia. So we'll go into a little bit more of that in a little bit. But I just ask you to go inside yourself and see, are these things, the government shutdown? Oh my God, how I almost forgot about that. There's so many things. There's the meeting with the military. There's this raid in Chicago. There's more. Donald Trump just tried to. He's trying to call up. This just happened like a couple hours ago. Trying to call up National Guard from California, send them into Portland because Portland's burning down right now. It's on fire. It's burning to the ground. You've probably seen it. No, I haven't. Jesus Christ. But really, and there are some things coming up. There are a couple other things that happened that are pretty hilarious this last week. I'm looking at my list here, just kind of trying to talk to you about all that I have pulled in. over the last few days here. As I'm looking at my list, I've used up the first half of the show, and I've mentioned a couple things on the list, but there's still so much. Each one of these weeks is becoming overwhelming. I know that. I know it's really hard to feel good about it, or to feel even not terrified about all these things. I know that. I know it. I've had some really, really down points this last week. You know, when you come on here and I'm always trying to give you hope, and I'm finding the good and the bad and blah, 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 blah. I'm down there, man. I'm down there with you. I have had moments this week that were just, close to overwhelming. Disappointing, the understatement. When is this going to change? Because I just don't think we can take anymore. I'm with you. But those people who got dragged out of their beds in the middle of the night and zip-tied and thrown into a van by a masked fat guy with a gun, a scary gun, you and I have to stay strong for them. We have to do all we can do, and we have been. Last week I talked about how amazing it was that we, the people, turned around Disney, one of the biggest corporations in the world, within a couple of days. That's the power of the people. It really is true. It really is true. And it's being practiced now by you and me. And we have to stay strong for those people who truly are being terrorized. We have to be there for them, you and me. As hard as it is, we're going to stick together on this. We're going to help each other get through this, and we're going to stay strong so that we can help the other people by ending this madness. When we come back, I promise we will have some laughs, some things to laugh about. They're still absurd and hateable and make you want to punch something or somebody, but they're laughable. When we come back from a short break, you're listening to A Satellite View. We'll be right back. And we're back on A Satellite View. Find our website, satelliteviewpodcast.com. Go there, sign up to be on our email list, and find our YouTube channel by going to YouTube and search for Satellite View Podcast. Click on it, go to our channel, subscribe. It's free. I'm Todd Mikkelson. Thank you for being here. Okay, I got to tell you a story about the dumbest of the cabinet members. Most evil, I think everyone's kind of tied, but this one, and Keg Breath, wow, dumb, has no clue, wants to make friends with the generals and stuff, but, and it was so hilarious when he ended, and there was complete silence, and you could see, you got to watch that moment if you can find it. The ending of Keg Breath doing his bullshit patent imitation in front of these people who have been in the military for 30 or 40 years, who are some of the smartest, most educated on the military, American history, and other things. And this twerp who's pissed off because he couldn't even keep his job at Fox News On the weekends, he ends his big thing, and it's complete silence. And you got to find that moment. The look on his face and the way his eyes shift and his eyebrows go up. He is so surprised that there's not applause. And he can tell, okay, I'm supposed to walk off the stage now. And then Donald Trump comes in and he's like, I've never walked into a room so silent. It's so silent. You've probably seen that anyway. But the ending of Keg Breath's presentation. So now we'll go down to somebody who is even dumber than Keg Breath. And even dumber than Kash Patel. Robert Nutlick. I'm purposefully not correcting. I'm not even telling you, okay, Keg's breath is really Pete Heg's breath. I'm not even doing that. This is Howard. No, not Robert. Howard, I think. Nutlick. And he is the dumbest of all the cabinet members. Wow, what a moment. That is now getting him to probably be subpoenaed by Democrats in Congress because of an appearance he made on a podcast where you've seen this guy before. He thinks he's the most important guy in the world, number one. He also thinks he's the most charming guy in the world, number two. He also thinks he's the most funny guy in the world, number three. And he thinks he's the best storyteller. You see all these things on display as he is revealing that, yes, there is an Epstein list. And yes, Donald Trump knows all about it. It was kind of majestic. I don't even know if I should go through it. You should go find it. I hope that you did see it. I hope you know what I'm talking about, because it's like we've all met that guy at a party or something, but he's bragging about how, he moved in next to Jeffrey Epstein moves in right next to us. So, and his assistant comes, hey, Mr. Epstein wants to meet you. He's you're his new neighbor. He wants to have you come over. So we go in there, right? We go in there. Huge house, super wide, huge house. We go in there. He asked you, do you want a tour? Yeah, I say, yeah, sure, yeah. So we're in the living room, huge living room, I'm telling you. And then we go in the doors are going to open, and I think it's going to be the dining room. The doors open, and there's a massage table in there. So me, being somebody who I ask the most poignant questions, you know me, I'm going to... So I say, a massage table in the middle of the house? How many... This is how he's telling the story. He thinks he's hilarious. And he's going into the smarm of Jeffrey Epstein. And he describes the smarm of Jeffrey Epstein. But then the podcaster starts asking questions. Well, so what about all these people who have been there and gone in there? All these famous people, and what about them? Oh, they knew. Of course they knew. Of course they knew. Of course, right? Of course they knew. Right? Well, what are those? Well, so what about, Donald Trump? He was friends with Epstein. Oh, yeah, well, I mean, I'm sure Donald Trump knew, well, of course, I mean, these guys, all these guys, they're the most famous people. I know most of them. I know most of the famous people in the world because I think of myself as one of the most famous people in the world. Yeah. This is Howard, I believe, maybe Robert, who cares, Nutlick, on a podcast, probably going to be subpoenaed to testify under oath to elaborate on him telling a story at what he thinks is a fun party. Wow. So he gets the Dumb Award. Let's ring the bell. Dumb. This just in. A magnitude 6.0 earthquake this week in Honshu, Japan. We have magnitude 6 earthquakes now that just are never reported anywhere. We've been having weekly at least one earthquake for I don't know how long this year. and so where is our media? That's what pisses me off the most. Here's another thing. Marjorie Taylor Greene put out a little video of herself, just a selfie video saying, I'm just making the announcement that I am not suicidal. I am a happy, versed person. Okay, of course, we know that, but she's saying she's not suicidal. If anything were to happen to me, please know and reference this video. She saw what happened to Charlie Kirk when he started to say, release the Epstein files, Donald Trump, and started to say things like, what's Israel doing in Gaza? I think we need to reevaluate. We saw what happened to Charlie. Hey, Marge, you saw what happened to Charlie last week, right? Are you still gonna keep your name on that whatever it is for the people to vote on, the thing, or the Epstein thing? You saw what happened to Charlie. That's why she put the video up. Instead, she's not backing down. Thomas Massie, who is another person who I would never agree with, a very, very strong conservative, but he has turned against Trump pretty much, at least on this Epstein stuff now. And he wants to name the names. And he even started to name some of the names. And then, of course, Ro Khanna, the Democratic House member. The three of them, Marjorie Taylor Greene, Thomas Massie, and Ro Khanna, are going to have another one of these press conferences on October 8th. Wow, that's this coming Wednesday. That's just a couple days from now. And they're going to have the Epstein survivors there again with them. Are the Epstein survivors ready to let Marge and Tom and Ro name their list? Some of the names on their list? Names are being leaked. Some of them are in the Trump White House. We're coming close. We are really coming closer and closer to that. I see a lot of high-profile suicides occurring in the month of October. Not to mention Virginia Giuffre, one of the Epstein victims who committed suicide this last spring. Before she did that, she wrote a book. And in that book, she talks about her whole life, but mostly and especially her interactions with Jeffrey Epstein and other people. And her siblings have managed to get this book published. It's coming out on the 21st of October. Wow. What's going to happen when that book comes out? I mean, there really are things ready to happen, I swear. Mike Johnson, Little Johnson, on a show this morning, he's saying, it's really quiet here. Really quiet here, Margaret. I hope that on Monday that the Democrats will vote yes to reopen the government. And then Margaret Brennan, the host of the show he was on, said, yeah, but you've sent all your people home. So how can there be any talks? And he didn't really have an answer for that. He also got called out by George Stephanopoulos. And I'm sure behind the scenes, Little Johnson is telling somebody, I just can't be Trump's pool boy anymore. I can give you a long list of men that I would very much enjoy to be their own personal pool boy. That's something to be sure of. I would love to be the pool boy of a long list of men. But starting with that wonderful John Hamm, but I would love to be any of this big long list of men's pool boys, but I just can't be Donald Trump's pool boy anymore. I don't have any kind of diaper fetish or anything like that. I just cannot be Donald Trump's pool boy anymore. Something's going to give here. Something's got to give. You can see it in his face when he's on TV. He's in a panic. This is not sustainable. I want to point out some really good points that came out when I was watching about a half-hour long segment yesterday. It was put out Saturday morning, the 4th of October. If you want to go find it, Heather Cox Richardson. I love her to death. You will too if you go see her. She knows a lot about history. She's a historian. She's a political scientist. She's just so good. She points out things that it's like, oh, wow, I didn't think of that. And she did a segment along with Joanne Freeman, who's also a historian. Love her as well. The two of them just talking candidly. They pointed out that Keg Breath having what he did, trying to be like Patton, is just showing us all how weak they are. So they were saying things like, you show how weak you are when you're carrying a big, scary gun when no gun is needed. That's not showing strength. You think you're showing strength? That's not showing strength. That's showing weakness. And then lying about Donald Trump being, 6'8" and weighing 130 pounds, that's just showing that he's about to die and he's way overweight. It's pretty much the opposite of what you're doing is what you're demonstrating. When you're trying desperately to blame the government shutdown on the Democrats, and then you add to all of the agencies' websites that the radical left has shut down the government, that's just going, no, it's not us. Don't blame us anymore. God, why is everyone blaming us? Don't blame us. It's those radical left. Go blame them. Go look at them. Stop blaming me. They're weak. They feel weak. They know they're weak. And this has been the image with the GOP. They just want to have an image. Started with Ronald Reagan. Heather Cox Richardson and Joanne Freeman point this out. And we're seeing now, too, they point out that the Democratic leadership, now, I don't know if they're doing a little bit better during this shutdown, but to me, that's even a little too late. Both Hakeem Jeffries, certainly Chuck Schumer. I'm sick of them. I'm fucking sick of them. They're not the leaders we need for these times. Our systems are broken. Kamala Harris is saying, I don't want to be a part of the system. It's completely fucked, and we need a whole new system. Do not stay too attached to how things have been because they need to change. That has been proven. Our current Democratic leadership is being replaced by us, the people. The people have taken the power from the Democratic leadership. We're just like, okay, you guys aren't leading us anywhere. We're sick of you. We're going to have to do this ourselves. Get out of the driver's seat. I'm throw you out the fucking door if you don't move over, Hakeem, all right? We have taken over. Joanne Freeman points out that in the 1800s, John Quincy Adams, I believe he became president in 1834, I think, maybe 1828. The sentiment was, everybody was fighting about slavery. And he realized that if he just said, I'm against slavery, slavery must stop, it wouldn't have helped at all. Instead, he pointed out that there was something called the gag rule. You could not talk bad about slavery. So John Quincy Adams started to say, they've taken away your freedom to speak. They've taken away your First Amendment freedom to speak. You should be able to say that you're against slavery and not be afraid of backlash from the government. And the power of the people started to rise up. Ended up bringing on people like Abraham Lincoln, who, by the way, yeah, he was called a Republican, but everything was opposite back then. We're not going to go too deep into that. It's really interesting, though. So this is how we handle this. Your rights are being taken away from you by the Republicans. Yes, your health care also. But, we have to take the power. Okay, quick Ukraine. Flamingo drones and Tomahawk missiles are just beginning to be deployed. Bases, bridges, and depots are being destroyed. 40% now of oil refineries are on fire and not working in Russia. And Russia is huge. Gas. People cannot get gas. They wait for hours, sometimes more than a day, and then they're rationed. They can get maybe 20 gallons or less of gas. People are now being told to sacrifice to defend Russia. At first, it was in 2022, it was, we're going to take back Ukraine in, what was it originally? 12 days, I think is what they said. I went through the details of that. about a month ago on this podcast. If you want to look back at my shows, I've been doing a lot of reporting on all of this Ukraine stuff and what's really going on as opposed to what our media over here is reporting. But that has broken. Our media is starting to say things like Ukraine really has a chance to win this, especially if they get help from Europe, which they are getting help from Europe. Even Donald Trump and J.D. Vance have said Ukraine could win this. You know what they were saying a couple months ago. So people in Russia were told, we're going to take back Ukraine in 12 days. Now they're being told, you need to sacrifice. You can eat less. I know there's no food for you. You should accept that fact. Please do it for the defense of Russia, because we're at war with NATO. But NATO is ignoring their provocations. So Russia's whole thing is like, we're going to provoke NATO so that NATO attacks us. NATO's not attacking. NATO is, no, we're not going to be provoked. Because that then empowers Putin to say, NATO is attacking us. We need to defend Russia. And then he can pull in more North Korean troops, which are pretty much decimated and completely put to zero now in this Ukraine-Russia war. We can pull in more troops from Iran, and we can pull in more troops from other places. That is not working. And again, reporting on that in past episodes, there are a lot of protests rising up in Russia, and 50 out of 83 regions in Russia have closed airports. They had to, in St. Petersburg, they canceled a naval parade because they have no ships left because Ukraine has blown up almost all of their ships. So the Navy doesn't have anything to parade. Not that they were going to parade a ship on the street, but, they have nothing to show off. They're being decimated by Ukraine right now. So that's what's going on. I have run out of time. Another overwhelming week. This coming week likely will be tough as well. But we got to stay strong. We got to stay strong. Let's stick together and keep each other sane. Take care of yourself. Do the things you love. See the people you want to hang out with and hang out with them. Laugh. Enjoy your life. Do not let this twerp take it away from you. These guys are all going down. They are. And these horrible things that are occurring are making more people fight against it along with you and me. We're gaining people on our side because every move Donald Trump and his minions make, and for that matter, Putin and Netanyahu, people are leaving their camp and coming to our camp. And yes, it is a bit of a war. And we're gaining more troops. If you want to look at it like that. October 8th, this Wednesday, what's going to happen at that press conference with the survivors of Jeffrey Epstein and Thomas Massie, Ro Khanna, and Marjorie Taylor Greene? What's going to be announced there? What's going to happen? Why are they doing it? Would they be doing it if they didn't have something new going on? Something new to say? That is breaking apart. That is breaking open. That information is going to come out. And things are moving forward on the election information as well. There are so many things going on, I can't keep them straight. We would need to have a show that's too long for you to listen to really report on everything that's going on week to week. So I'm going to wrap it up, but I want to thank you so much for being here with me. I hope me being here with you has helped a little bit. Let's stick together, keep each other sane. I will speak at you next week.
You've been listening to A Satellite View with Todd Mikkelson. Go to toddmikkelson.com for links and more information.